Hi, I am Rachel Nasadka, back with another article. This one is quite personal, so I hope you enjoy it. It is called Another Day Holding Dreams. If you suspect you have undiagnosed ADHD, read this. There are words that we are used to hearing describe ourselves. For me, I am often told that I am friendly, I'm bubbly, I'm warm, energetic. All of these are true, genuine traits that are woven into my DNA. But we are all walking paradoxes, and oftentimes I feel the emotional opposite to what is on display. It turns out being friendly, bubbly, warm, and energetic not only feels good, but it also creates strong connections with other people. It allows me to sense both the traits they show and also what lingers below the surface. And I love this. It gives me meaning, connections, connecting. But also, it exhausts me. To be honest, I can't think of a time in my life where I haven't thrived in a permanent state of chaos while simultaneously feeling intensely exhausted. When I was a child, I remember hearing my parents talk about someone they knew who suffered from chronic fatigue syndrome, and I was convinced that I experienced the same affliction. As a young adult, I constantly wondered if being tired was just how people felt. I was working hard, I was playing hard, and I was sleeping hard. It makes sense to be tired all the time, right? This is just what it means to be an adult, right? For almost 44 years, this is what I thought. Not surprisingly, my exhaustion increased when I became a parent. Times that by three kids, and I no longer knew what sanity felt like. Even as my kids got older and I began to get more sleep, there was no reprieve from the feeling that both my mind and my body were trudging through quicksand. But it makes sense to be tired all the time when you're a new parent, right? This is just what it means to be a parent, right? My kids continued to grow. I started going to therapy and I began to carve out more time for myself. I introduced a concept called Mommy's Quiet Alone Time. And I'd go into my office after dinner, turn off all the lights, lock the door, and cry. Because that is what grown-ups do, apparently. Recently, however, one of my kids was diagnosed with ADHD. That's not my story to tell, but I will say this. Living in a house with kids with undiagnosed ADHD is hard in a world where hard means something much bigger and more nuanced than difficult. A lot of threads were starting to unravel. This is not his fault, and it's not because of him. It was a confluence of dysfunction coming together and personified in a specific family member's outbursts. But that family member was not solely responsible. We all are, especially the parents, of which I am 50%. And so I made an appointment with my son's psychiatrist. And here's the most interesting part. I passed the computerized ADHD test with flying colors. Those computer logic games have nothing on me, especially after the hours upon hours I spent playing them on my phone when I got sick of scrolling during my 3+ years of breastfeeding. If you go by the computerized assessment, I'm neurotypical. If you go by my grades, I am a good student. If you go by my performance evaluations, I am a strong performer. On the self-reporting portion of the test, however, I scored high, high, high for ADHD. And my first reaction to this, well, I must be exaggerating. I must be making it up because the computer said something totally and completely different. And I think I genuinely would have gone the rest of my life thinking this if it weren't for Wellbutrin. I've been taking Zoloft for 20 years. I never noticed the difference being on it, but I noticed the difference not being on it. For me, taking Wellbutrin is different. About 45 minutes after I took the cute little lilac pill, I wondered why I was so alert. Oh, because I took medicine. And that was a nice feeling. But then the feeling didn't go away. For the first time in my life, in my actual whole entire life, I didn't feel tired. Oh my God, is this what being an adult, being a human feels like? Does it really not have to be so hard? My husband told me I seemed more vibrant, more alive. I'm able to actually hang out with my family and not have to escape to my office and cry from overwhelm. My deep sleep went from less than 20 minutes a night to over an hour. I can think, laugh, read, write, and live in the world without feeling like tiny hands are constantly reaching up from the quicksand to pull me under. And talking to the psychiatrist, it makes sense. It makes sense that I failed the computer test for ADHD because I don't manage my ADHD through external mechanisms. I manage my ADHD through internal systems and patterns. Since I was a child, I've developed complex systems to accomplish goals. Oftentimes, I fully know that my system makes no sense at all, but it's almost as if I have to trick my brain to keep it engaged. When I'm unloading the dishwasher, for example, I can't just do it all at once. I have to get the coffee started, open the dishwasher, put pancakes in the toaster for the kids, unload the silverware, finish making my coffee, unload plates, flip the pancakes, unload the cups, finish the kids' breakfast, then finally finish the dishwasher. If I tried to unload the dishwasher all in one go, it would never happen. So instead of sacrificing my family to dirty dishes, I created an exhausting way to get it done. The expense is not to the dishes. The expense is to myself. Multiply that system by 1 million at least, and this is how I've kept my brain occupied for almost half a century. And I am fucking tired. Except now I'm starting to wake up. At the end of the first day of medication, as my husband marveled at my alertness, I told him how tired I'd been without even realizing it wasn't normal. That I feel like I've gone through my whole life in an exhausted fog. And this is sad. And I cried. But there's another side to that coin because there's always another side to a coin. Have you ever seen a one-sided coin? Things that are hard have trade-offs. Things that are hard teach us how to live better. I've spent my entire life developing patterns and systems to keep my brain busy and productive. And now I am so fucking good at identifying patterns. I am so fucking good at creating out of the box systems when what should work doesn't. I have created the career that I am building every day, not in spite of my undiagnosed ADHD, but because of it. I have taken carbon and turned it into diamonds. And I wake each morning to another day holding dreams. I wrote this for me, but I also wrote it for you. If you read this and it feels familiar, please don't assume that just because you present as composed, that nothing is costing you. Outward competence can mask profound struggle, but you get to choose your dreams and the tools you use to pursue them.